G'day mates, and welcome back to Empires of the Undergrowth. We basically set up our little base last episode, episode 0. Today is going to be the first proper episode as we head in and we're going to take out mission number 1, or 1.1, new homes. I'm going to click this one, we're going to pick a difficulty, let's go medium. I don't believe, well, you do get a small amount of increase in resources. I'll cover these 3 resources later. I think medium though is a good middle ground. They do include a first time bonus which is fairly large, so playing this again and again later I might only get say 400 or 500 of this particular resource rather than 1600. So we'll go medium the first time and we'll enjoy that and have a look at what we've got here. Heading into the rotting log. So here we are, we're on a little bit of a...
This Formica Fusca queen has set up home beneath a rotting log. She is fat and vulnerable. Her first brood will need to move quickly if the colony is to survive. Their priority now is to find food, and there is plenty around. But there are other hungry creatures down here. The workers will need to be vigilant.
Okay, that's going to come in fairly often. They're going to give us little updates like that, so I'll try not to get completely cut off. What we've got here is a little bit here now.
The ants have encountered a pocket of woodworm. These defenseless weevil larvae will make an excellent meal for the colony. They will be butchered and carried off for processing.
Yes, there we go. So we're going to butcher... Oh, I haven't got enough food to actually build a food storage tile. That's interesting. So what's happening is they're going to go through, and you can see where we think the food is. We can sort of smell it or detect it in some way. Then over here we can smell something that we're not quite sure what it is, but it appears to be a threat. Now over here we've got sort of food smell as well as a threat smell, so we're not sure exactly what that could be, but we will dig around and uncover that later. Our mission, of course, our objectives are to just kill everything, so an nice easy way of taking care of things. We're going to start off nice and small. We're going to have just a couple little bits here, and let's actually cut up this way. There we go, build a little base there. So we're going to need to, there you go, a bit more food. This time what we're going to do is throw down, do I want more workers or do I want soldiers? This is a new type of thing. The black ant, Formica Fusca, is a soldier. And this one here is the generic workers. Workers can fight, but they are a hell of a lot weaker. And they were the only ones who can, of course, tend to the various areas. So I think we're going to start off, they're also a lot cheaper. We're going to start off with a couple of workers. It'll give us a critical mass of pure numbers. It may not be the best idea, but there's a little bit of food around here that I can reach. That'll also allow me to build up some soldiers as well before we head in further. So we're going to keep things moving along reasonably quickly here. Now, the nurse, sort of the nest group, that's the word, these guys will automatically go out and do any digging that I tell them to do, but they won't necessarily go out and grab food. Like, because they're already up here, they grab it, but they won't in future. So what I can do is group them and throw down a pheromone trail. And now this builds up over time. Currently only 2 of them, or 3 of them now, are going to be going up there. And the longer it's around, the more and more of this particular group will go up. So you can't just send them all off straight into battle. You do need to sort of plan and group them up a little bit. For now, we can actually put you guys back in here. Now that pheromone group is still there, but I can just remove that and it will fade away. You also saw there was still 1 guy up there waiting. The pheromones don't just disappear in one hit, so it's worthwhile planning ahead if you need to retreat quickly. Either way, we're going to grab a little bit more food here and see what we can do. We're actually going to throw down a couple more of these worker ants. I just want to get a good solid number of them because I can actually upgrade these at a later date, and I'll cover that shortly. But what's that saying? Soldiers, yes, soldiers are going to be important, and I actually probably will throw down a couple of those now. Now, I'm not a real pro at this game, so I'm not sure exactly the optimum way of doing this, but I think I've found something that works, and I find getting something cheap in just to get some numbers early on is a good way of doing that. You'll see these guys take up 50 each. They take 50, and it's an additional 5 food to hatch them. So the actual feeding the pupa and watching them grow up. These guys here are only 20 to place and 2 to hatch. They can still fight, albeit a hell of a lot weaker. So I'm inclined to build a few of those. But we'll head down here, we'll grab food, and this is going to be the last of the easy food. After this, we're pretty much going to have to fight somebody to go any further. And there we go. With that, I'm actually going to send these guys over down here to take that. I'm actually going to send you into group 2 and go down there. Just because if they can't see food, they won't grab it. And they'll bring all that food back. We can throw down...
This colony must remain small for now. Food is too scarce to support...
Whoa, what just happened? No, what did I do? I have no idea what that happened there. I must have clicked something and dragged, or I don't know what happened, but I think I have no idea what happened, but that added in a whole bunch of building things I didn't want to do, and we very nearly broke our way through to some enemies which would have destroyed us. What have I done? Jeez. Now, unfortunately, these guys aren't up against a wall. I'll show the upgrade system in a second. Actually, let's do it now. So with the upgrade, what you can do is you can actually... it's hard to see here, but a wall, every direction it's coming in here, it's giving it +1. So this wall, because it's butting up against the wall, gives it +1 that direction, +1, +1. Having the same type is giving it +1. So this one here has all 6 sides covered. It's either in the middle of its the same stuff here, or it's up against a wall, so it's in the corner. This one here though has 5 corners and doesn't have the 6th one over here. So that one is only 5 out of 6. Now to level them up, what you need to do is get them to 6, and then you just click the button and it actually places a request down. Now no one's going to come up and do it because I've got no workers active. Now I'll put some nest workers on. There you go, that'll tell exactly what I was just explaining. So you've got a chance to read that. Again, pause if you would like to learn. And that's allowed me to effectively upgrade it. Now the next one, you can see it's got 2 little pointy arrow things. It's a level 2, and the animal, the ant coming off this, whichever one it is now marginally more powerful and faster. And the upgrade cost is exactly the same as the base tile. So in that case, these guys cost 20 to upgrade. These guys eventually will cost 50 to upgrade. So you can see the cost can get prohibitively expensive when you're upgrading a large room like that. So what do we got here? We've got 53, which will be enough to throw down another soldier in the corner there. Now it's not quite a perfect room because of some reason they dug everything out, but I think what we've got is enough to... Looks like there's only 2 guys up here. So we're going to go up and kill these guys once our 5th soldier hatches. I'm actually going to want everyone to be in this battle group to start with. Actually, no, let's place them here.
The colony is starving. There's not enough food to feed the new brood.
So in that case, we require 5 food to hatch this guy, and we've only got 3. So we can't actually hatch him up yet. So what we'll do is we'll head up here, we'll find these, whatever this threat is, as well as a little bit more food. Okay, what do we got here?
The workers have uncovered carnivorous larvae of Ocypus olens, the devil's coach horse. They are born ready for combat, with powerful slicing mandibles for chopping up their prey. They are still small, however, and must undergo a final pupation before their armor is fully developed. If the ants are fast, they should be able to overwhelm these critters. If the ants had disturbed the adult of these larvae, the outcome for the colony may not have been so fortunate. They must expand with caution.
Well, there you go. Couldn't have said it better myself. So that is the Devil's Coach larvae. They're going to sort of be our main enemies around here. They're a larger larvae, and they're going to hunt us and kill us down. We can, however, eat them. So once we've killed them, we might lose a couple of ants, but hopefully, provided we don't lose too many, we should be able to make some, I guess, food profit, because it only costs us 5 to replace a soldier and 2 food to replace a worker, and we get 15 out of those little larvae. So if we can, if we lose less than, say, 7 workers, or I guess 3 soldiers, we actually come off ahead, because there are still additional bits of food in there as well. So next up, we've got 3 down there. 2 guys here, but not as much food. I reckon we can take these guys out here. We're going to need to have some workers though who are just tending the other bits here, because we're not actually growing our soldiers back. We've got nobody to tend it and bring the pupa over. So they're bringing him over, and the larva will begin to grow up. Right, let's head down, dig out these guys here, and continue to expand.
There are intruders in the nest.
And so we're getting a bit of a choke point here. It's important not to choke ourselves out too much, because we're ants, we're quite weak individually, but our strength is in numbers. So choke points are not necessarily something we want to aim for. What we'll often do with some of the bigger enemies is you can build, say, a room here, fall you guys back into the room, and then send a couple of guys to dig it, and then fall back and actually draw the enemy out, so you can surround them and attack from all sides. And that gets very important later, because some guys will actually, what's the word, like spray insect venom and stun all the guys in front of them. So flanking ears are very important. We got here, pheromone markers, yep. So that allows me to effectively control the pheromone markers. I can say, this group here, let's say our soldiers are in here, and I don't want them to gather food, I only want them to fight. These guys, though, are going to be running in and grabbing food while our soldiers hold them at bay, so I tell them not to fight, and only to gather food. And then I can have both pheromone markers on the same spot, for example, and the soldiers will defend while the workers grab the food and bring it back. Again, not something we particularly want to do just yet, but will come in handy at a later date. So what I'm going to do is actually going to speed this up. I'm not going to talk because it's going to get fairly repetitive. We got a lot of stuff to take here, but I don't want to actually cut out anything. You guys can still see what's going, but it'll be at a higher speed and I won't be talking. So without further ado, let's cut to the chase.
This colony must remain small for now. Food is too scarce to support greater numbers. The colony is starving. There's not enough food to feed the new brood. Predators loose in the nest. The larvae must be protected.
These wood lice will make a significant addition to the colony's larders, but they are clinging tightly to the ground. It's going to take some effort to dislodge them.
Okay, so we found what appears to be a new type of food source. These are sort of like little wood lice. You can sort of see the size of them. You've probably seen animals similar to this before. I know I encounter them fairly often on my property. But once we kill them, they take a lot. You can have a look at their health bars gradually dwindling compared to our ants. They're a hell of a lot stronger. So we get our soldiers in here to kill them off a bit quicker. But once we've done that, you can see this one here is providing us 40 food, and it can be harvested by one ant at a time. So there's someone able to harvest, and gradually the food will be depleted. So 15 at a time, these guys. So we get 2 full harvests and 1 partial harvest from each of those. So we can get some good food out of that. What's this one here say? Yeah, total of 30 food. Effectively what I just said. So it does give them, increased defense, and they're hard to actually beat. We do need numbers to actually kill them off in any real time. You can see I've expanded the base somewhat, and I've begun putting a separate thing here. If I continue to build up my soldiers on the same spot here, they will remain in the same control group, or same group over here. By creating a separate little version down here, what I can actually do is I can split them up. So currently there's 2 of them, these 2 here. You can see this part here goes white when I mouse over them, and I can actually put them in a separate group, whereas these 7 are always going to be stuck as a group of 7. Later on I'll want to obviously expand, but early on it might be handy to be able to send them off in 2 different directions if all required. We need workers, of course, to build that. But what I can do now is actually start to leave these workers permanently on construction. There is something I've been toying with. Actually, let's give it a shot. Let's try it out. So what I do here is I create just a little tiny, say, 3x area or something, and I'll use Thank you. What I'm going to do is throw down just 3 of those guys there. And I'll use them as my permanent base workers, because 7 of these guys, they're decent numbers for actually fighting the enemy. So what I can do is I can move these guys in here and just leave these 3. When they eventually grow up, these 3 will tend all the pupa and construction and look after the base in general. So I don't know if it's necessarily efficient or effective to do that, but it's some sort of an idea I've been toying with after playing for a little while, because the 7 that I'll begin with are a fairly significant force, so I don't want to just leave behind. Anyway, let's cut back to it and we continue to push northwards. Actually, let's go westwards and get more food. Okay, what's happening now is we're running into a bit where they're having to travel quite a long way. So what I can do is actually throw down sort of like a road. They call it a speed up tile, but it's effectively the ants clearing any debris out of the area. So it costs a small amount of food, which is the energy, I suppose, for the builders to go and do that. But this allows me to create sort of a highway, if I can get that click down properly, create a little highway that they'll follow to sort of zigzags. A bit unfortunate, it's a hexagonal problem, but that's a little highway that'll allow them to run quicker, because they're going to be running over this a lot more, and that is effectively the only entrance to our base. So we're going to be going up and down this a lot. So ideally, if I build that as well, I can keep this all going. Now these are upgradable as well, and upgrading them effectively requires them to be in a tiny thin little hallway like this. I can make a big wide road, but again the edges won't be upgraded unless we hit a wall at some point. It's only 5 to upgrade, but it's not something I'm going to bother with just yet. What I am going to do though is continue upgrading my soldiers over here. Now if I can get them to level 3, you'll find that they become very, very powerful. That's something else to look at as well. Let's go in and zoom in here for a second and have a look here. So you can see this guy here is level 2, and so the bonus he's providing to this guy now is plus 2 points. If I move my light away, so it's plus 2 points, so it's coming in, and effectively it allows this center one to build up to 12 points once I get enough of them. We're gonna have to upgrade you. So I've got them all up to level 2 now, which means this center one can become level 3. Again, if I had 50 food, I could do that, which would make a very, very powerful guy there. Now you can start to see why having an even larger hexagon around here would actually allow all of these guys to upgrade to level 3 as well. And so you start to get a lot more efficiency as you get larger and larger and have big dedicated rooms towards it. You can get, as well as if it's all along a wall, you can get every single guy in the room, or every single larvae thing in the room, to level up to maximum level, except for the one on the entrance, which is always going to be missing 1 point. It'll be down 11 out of 12. So you can get very, very efficient there, and it's important to remember every time they die, they cost more food. So even though it's 50 food, for example, to level these guys from 1 to 2, you don't have to spend as much food because they won't die quite as often. Again, I'm not sure where the efficiency lies. I haven't sat down with a spreadsheet and figured it out and min-maxed it yet, but sort of a healthy balance between numbers and upgrades seems to be the way to go.
There are intruders in the nest. The colony is starving. There's not enough food to feed a new brood.
And here we go, our first level 3 guy. This will make a very, very beefy, powerful soldier. Worker Ant upgrades him, and then for some reason, one of these guys somewhere, one of this group of 7, are a hell of a lot more powerful. My understanding is that they become more powerful immediately. They don't actually have to die and be replaced. Just the guy that's attached to that particular spot is somehow more powerful.
Predators are loose in the nest. The larvae must be protected.
So So there we lost 2 workers and I think 2 or 3 soldiers, although they've already replenished. But we're getting back 1, 2, 3, looks like 4 sets of 15, which is, off the top of my head is, what's that, 45, 60? 60 food. So we actually did make an overall profit there. So you got to be careful. Going into something like this early on, you might actually lose a lot more than what you're likely to make back in food. So having a critical mass of ants is very, very important. And of course having enough food to replace them so that you can then go out and keep going. If I don't have a stockpile and my guys all die off, well, there's not much I can do then. So this is quite a tight battle here. We're losing a fair few guys. We're down 3, 4 already. I think we may have even lost a couple more because the numbers up the top right here are jumping up from our larvae. They're already ready to hatch. Now these 3 guys will be running around frantically trying to get more larvae down. But I think we did manage to barely win that. That was pretty tight though. We lost, I'm not sure how many we lost because they do fade away. It could have been close to half our soldiers. And these are fairly upgraded soldiers for the most part. Now I have thrown down a couple more here and I'm in the process of expanding this first group here. That'll allow me to continue to upgrade the inner core ones as I eventually upgrade them. So they're 10 out of 12. So I've got 2 coming from here, 3 coming from here, 2 coming from there, and then 1, 1, 1. So I need 2 more for this guy here. So by upgrading him there, let's have a look at what that does. When a guy eventually gets over here, he will, let's bring those numbers up, hold control to bring the numbers up. So he's upgraded that there. This one now is hit 11, but this one's also hit 11. Unfortunately, it's in the back here, so there's nothing I can do to level it up. But what I can do, by spending a bit of cash and say, leveling this one here up, what it'll actually do is bump this guy up to 12. It'll give him, it'll go from +2 to +3. No, sorry, I take that back. It'll go from +1 to +2. So this now is up to level, it's got 12 bits to it. This guy here though is still only +2, but by leveling that guy up to level 3, which again, very, very powerful upgrade, well worth doing. I think it's a huge step up from level 2. Now gives this guy here +3, which allows me to then upgrade him to the top level. And you can see it's going to keep doing this as I continue to expand it around. This will gradually, hopefully I can start butting them up against walls. This will gradually allow me to expand all of them up to level 3. So I've gone from just 1 guy to level 3. I've now got 3 of them up here. And they gain a special powerful ability. Again, there is no like wiki or something or in-game encyclopedia to actually tell me what that is. And I'll show you that in a second once I get back to the end of this mission. But it's very, very, very much a work in progress. Either way, we've got a little bit of food left. I can probably throw down a couple more sneaky upgrades. It's important to remember this upgrade costs 50, same as this upgrade, and the same as throwing down a new guy. So level 3 is very, very cost effective. Definitely something to keep in mind. I don't know exactly how cost effective, but I have found it to be highly useful. Okay, this particular battle we've got a much wider front, so I don't think we're going to lose quite as many guys. We've lost a couple of workers. We're actually losing quite a lot of workers. Looks like those guys are on the front line. They're only two like food bits to replace, so they're very, very cheap, expendable lives. And the best part is it allows our guys, our actual soldiers, to reach along and do all their DPS without actually dying and being decreased. So having a bit of a worker meat shield, although they're quite weak, can be very handy, especially up the front. Now this one here looks like the big final battle, so we're not going to push in there. Ooh, our food stores are full. So I have been upgrading our food stores a little bit, and they work on the same rule. It's 6 points to upgrade it the first time, and 12 points required to get it the second time, with the 12-point one being highly, highly valuable. So that'll upgrade that gave us an additional 30 food, just upgrading that. If I throw this one down, we go from 470 to 530. So that gave us 30 to go from level 1 to level 2, and then 60 points to go from level 2 to level 3. So you can see there's a big, big gap there, and I'm assuming it's very, very similar for these guys here. So they go from, you know, a base strength to pretty good strength to an extremely high strength at level 3. So definitely worthwhile, as far as I can tell, upgrading guys as much as possible. So I'm actually going to fall back here and try to surround them. These are a lot of these guys, and unfortunately 4, 2, 1, those guys are running up there by themselves. But we've got them here in a much wider area, so I lost a couple of workers and unfortunately a few soldiers as well. This may not have been as cost effective as I thought. It's more of a last minute decision, and I saw how many there were. Why are you guys running right past? But now we can surround them and hopefully take them down. This battle hasn't gone quite as well as I had hoped. Okay, we've lost everything. Let's fall right back here. So, yeah, those guys completely got wiped out. There's a couple of us here. The benefit, though, is that it gives us time to sort of crack all these pupa open. Because they're pre-grown, most of them, we can build up once more. I mean, it's not going to take a long time to get them all back again. But we have got a bunch of guys that we can push on into. This has been a very bad engagement on my part. I probably haven't done anywhere near as well as I could have or should have. But with that, we've effectively beaten them all back, which is brilliant. I also, for some reason, had them off battle. That's probably why that wasn't working so well up here. It was my own stupidity. I wish I could edit that one out, but unfortunately you guys have seen it live on camera. Okay, what I'm thinking about now is whether it's worthwhile upgrading or saving the food to replenish all my forces. I can replenish them once for sure, assuming I've got enough food, which will be whatever 24 by 5 is, 125. So yes, I'm actually probably better off keeping that much money around, because what we're about to enter into is the big final battle, and there's only 2 spaces here that I can possibly dig through. So
there are intruders in the nest.
Intruders in the nest, let's fight them. Now this guy here, what we appear to have is an adult version of it.
The ants have stumbled into the path of a fully developed devil's coach horse beetle, and it's hungry for breakfast. The beetle is almost 4 times the size of a black ant, and protected by thick plates of external armor. Whilst it bites at the tiny defenders, it sprays foul-smelling secretions from the end of its raised abdomen, disorientating the ants. The devil's coach horse is dead. Its corpse will provide food to support dozens of new brood.
Well, there you go. That thing gives us 100 food. That is a phenomenal amount, but it is an adult version of those little beetle things we've been fighting so far. It's very powerful, and if it can catch us in a choke point, it can spray and do huge damage to all our guys in the front. So we will take huge losses. We did, though, manage to actually increase our food, so that was a favourable engagement on our part. We've had enough time for the pupa to be thrown back down again. They're all starting to grow up from replacing. These ones are actually food over here. This straw looking stuff is, I suppose, the granary. But all our guys appear to be ready and willing. At this point, I think I'm actually going to bring these 3 guys in. We're going to need everything we can for this final battle. Actually, it's only 3 guys. I'm going to leave them out for now because we may get wiped out, in which case they can run around replacing the pupa. And we may get actually all these guys plus all the pupa here, or the lava here, and then whatever these 3 guys can throw back out. So we may even get 3 rounds out of it with our food, because we have a fairly good stockpile of food here, and we may as well use these 3 workers as their job intended. Now you can see here, this stone stuff we can't dig through, so there are only 2 possible ways through. So this is a major choke point they're about to set up here. So what I'm going to do is actually try to de-choke it a little bit. So I'm going to bring my guys over, move that, and that one too. I'm going to bring them all over here. Now we're going to send... How are we going to do this? We're actually going to send these 3 over here into another group. Now this group here is not going to get food, is not going to attack. These guys will attack and will defend. I'm going to do sort of what I did up here, but I'm going to try and do it properly and not as badly as I did last time. Fortunately, we'll wait for the pheromones here to fade away from group 1. So there's still a couple of soldiers and a few of these 14 workers. So I only want... Come on, that one guy. Okay, they've all moved. They're all moved over here. 33 out of 38. So 34, 35. Most of the guys are going up there. We've got 2 out of 3 here. Now these guys will not engage, will not eat. All I can do is tell them to dig that stuff and then
there
run.
There are intruders in the nest.
Get out of here as quick as you can. Nope, looks like they're going to just die. They were too busy digging. But what that allows us to do now is come in and flank. Ooh, I think I've stuffed this one up. He's going to run down and kill my queen, but it's given us enough time to engage at least one of them up here, while the rest of the soldiers just distract them down south here. That gives us a good opportunity to not face both of them at the same time. Unfortunately, it looks like they're killing through our forces very, very rapidly. We may be... Let's have a quick look at the health bars here. Not looking good. Not looking good at all. Let's actually stick here and fight these guys down. We're going to have to fight them all at the same time, but we are bringing in more reinforcements. How are our pupa going? Not well. I'm going to stick more of these guys onto support here, just to keep breeding them so we can keep our numbers up. They're trickling in, so this is bad StarCraft 2 micro, if you can think of it like that. But we have managed to gradually overwhelm them and beat them back.
This Formica Fusca colony has now established itself as a rising power in the Undergrowth. Soon their territory will need to expand above ground, where new challenges await. For the time being, however, the Queen is safe.
And there we go, victory for Formica Fusca. Now, this is a hell of a lot of fun, this game. I'm absolutely loving it. It's surprising the amount of fun you get out of it just from guiding a couple of insects around. The old SimAnt days. If you guys were into that, this is something you may enjoy. So, now we have our reward for the Formicarium, which is sort of tying it all together now. This is like a little mission that we do, and it's boosting our Formicarium that allow us to actually build up. Now, we're going to get 3 things. We're going to get this first is territory. That's how many little spaces I can dig out in my Formicarium. The second one is food, and the third one is royal jelly. Now, royal jelly is effectively research points. I haven't found another use for it just yet, but I'm sure there are other uses that will pop up over time. Now, guaranteed minimum is 20 territory, 1658 food, and 51 royal jelly. However, on top of that, I can choose one of these and I'll gain extra. So I'll gain an extra 20 royal jelly by picking that one. I will gain an extra, 600 or something, 550 food, roughly, almost exactly actually. 550 food if I pick the food one, which is again useful for leveling up and upgrading everything in our base. And I can gain here an extra 8 pieces of territory. I've never really run into the territory limit. I'm sure if you're a bit of a spendthrift or you were keen on designing the perfect base, you could do that, but I, again, not bothered. Food is great, but I can always repeat missions if I need more. Royal jelly though. Being short 1 royal jelly is an absolute pain in the... It's a pain in the ass, really, to be frank here. And having a little bit extra just so I can do some research without having to bother and repeating an entire mission like this for a lesser reward as well. I think royal jelly is the way to go. And of course I can end the level. I'm not going to continue playing on. So again, more territory, more royal jelly, more food, and a bunch of score. Time multiplier, I suppose it's because I did it reasonably quickly. You probably do it very quickly for a high score there. Now we're going to head back to our formicarium. What's that here?
How is the colony progressing?
The Queen is exhibiting interesting new behaviors. I believe the colony is beginning to adapt.
Exactly, the colony is beginning to adapt. We have 71 royal jelly, and what that'll allow me to do is... rage. So this is exactly what I was talking about before. Now, in our case, it was unavoidable. I took the highest royal jelly option, and we still don't have enough. So I can't unlock the military black ants here without 4 more royal jelly. So in this case, I'm actually going to spend it on unlocking the upgrades. That's the upgrade there. Let's actually head into the wiki of the Undergrowth. Now, it's all ins and outs, blah, blah, blah. It is very, very much in a work in progress. Perfect example here. You should protect the Queen at all costs, blah, blah, blah. Now it's even got a typo. Now they want to just add this stuff in and they haven't bothered with it yet. Some spiel about the Queen. So we are the Gene Thief Queen. And what we're actually going to bring in is different types of ants into our army, by the sounds of things. Workers, this appears to be the only one, again with another typo, the only one with any real flesh to it. This here, some spiel about the worker, and very little here. So not much going on at the moment. I'm sure we'll unlock more in time as they continue to update this alpha. This is a very, very pretty alpha. Let's get rid of that. Very pretty alpha, and the game is very, very much functional. So I have 71 jelly. What did I do? I didn't actually do anything. I want to unlock this here. So we're going to unlock you, and we're going to unlock level 3. Now that'll allow us to get level 3 workers right off the bat. Which means I can straight away upgrade these guys to level 2. Not enough food, but we gained 1,000 food before. Where, oh where could that be? It's up on the surface. So I'm going to get my guys to come up here and dig out the surface. So we are the green, what do they call them? I've forgotten what it's called again. The Formica Erector. I don't know if that's a real or not, but the Formica Erectors are apparently the gene thief. We can steal genes somehow. It sounds very much like the Zerg. We've now unlocked the top. You need to click this mini-map over here, or just press the tab button. It'll take you and flick between them. These are the 3 holes that lead in here. You've got 1, 2, and 3. So we head up here. We've got 3 holes on the surface, and there is our reward for completing that last mission. So obviously if we pick the food one, we'd have a much larger pile of food. But what I can do is send our guys up here and tell them to collect all the food. Now they'll run up here. It'll take them a bit longer because it's a lot further away. You can see them marching through over here, and then they begin to pop out and they go grab all this food and bring it back. Now I'm not going to show all this on camera because it will take me a couple of minutes to do all this, and it's going to be a very repetitive thing over the course of the game. I don't find it particularly boring. I just think putting it on camera would be spectacularly boring. Now there are a couple of additional little wormy dudes running around, some lava. We can kill and eat them. They're not part of our food reward. You can see there's another one over here. Now these will gradually level up over time, so we'll start facing the Devil Coach lava at some point in the future as well. But quite nice little grains here. They look like beans. They look like coffee beans, but that doesn't make sense to me because I don't think ants eat coffee beans to my knowledge. So if anyone knows what these beans are, by all means tell me. And these blue things, I have no idea at all. But it's a handful of grain of some sort. What have we got over here? Colonies and hazards. Again, nothing on the surface just yet to worry about. And royal jelly. Nothing particularly important there. So I'm going to go plan out our base. I'm thinking of expanding up the number of workers we have here because we've got a fair bit of food. We can actually, a better idea might be to expand this. I'll put one of the workers here so we can continue bringing all that food in. and I will expand our food stockpile. So we've got here, it's currently 2 per side. So if I make it 3 per side, I think it's 1, 2, 3. I'm not sure, I have to figure it out. That didn't expand out quite as well as I had thought. I need to make that a nice perfect shape, otherwise my OCD will get the better of me. Okay, we are nicely and beautifully leveled up to the next size. I've got more room to expand over here if at all required, but for the time being, this is how it's going to go. This one over here, though, is going to give me the shits pretty much forever because I can't get rid of it. So, well, I can get rid of it, but you can't get rid of it normally. Because these are only 5 to place down, they're very, very cheap. What I can actually do is place a temporary one there, have that be built eventually, give me 1 point, upgrade this one, and then when the upgrade is finished, any second now, I can actually remove that one there. And that cost me 5 food, so it's not really something that bothers me. Doing it to these guys down here or to a worker area, a soldier area I might set up later will cost me, in this case, 20 food and 50 food for the soldiers. So it's not cost effective to get rid of my OCD. In that case, I will deal with the fact that one of them near the doorway is not perfect. And as I expand, they will eventually fill that in. But for now, I can get the food looking absolutely perfect, and it's shot our storage right through the roof. Send you guys over to the food number 2. Let's have a look up here at our food. And they still are gradually collecting their way through. This is going to take quite a while, so I will cut back once I'm done. Okay, all the food is harvested. We've spent most of it. We've actually managed to upgrade our little workers thing over here, and we can see all of them are level 3 except for this one in the corner. Again, not going to change, and I'm not going to spend the cash, food, to fix it just for aesthetic reasons, unfortunately. But maybe one day in the future when I've got a massive surplus. For now though, we're going to need that 600 and a hell of a lot more. So I've also harvested all the food up here, and while I'm here I just wanted to show what's going on. So these are the base 7 and I can't upgrade them in any way. You can see the size of them compared to these upgraded guys over here, the level 3 ones. They are considerably bigger. That's just a graphical representation of their strength. So they are looking a lot more like soldiers despite only being workers. So those 7 are quite weak. These 19 over here are a hell of a lot stronger. Either way, that is the end of this episode. If you've enjoyed this, smash that thumbs up button, give me a like, give me a share if you're really keen on that, and subscribe if you've not done so already. Anyway guys, I've been Blxz. This has been Empires of the Underground. I'm going to be heading in next episode. We're going to be doing the subjugation mission over here, which is slightly different to New Home. They're both fairly easy challenges on the grand scheme of things, although to be fair, I did lose at this one 2 or 3 times on my first playthrough, my test game, my other campaign, so it does take a little bit of learning and getting used to. There's a little bit of challenge in this game, and I hope you guys are enjoying it. Anyway, I will see you next time. Take care, guys.